bum, bum. Okay, finally, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Today's going to be an excellent day. I want to thank you guys for joining us. Um, I was having an issue with the Matrix, but we reloaded like 3 times today. No breakfast. It's going to be pure discipline. I got me a small iced coffee, caramel, and here we go. We want to discuss a few things. First of all, making a tough decision. I have to reach out to some of my business partners in a different market, let them know that basically it's going to take more time to secure a few things or longer than anticipated. I'm a man of my word. I like to be clear, honest, transparent, just say it like it is. And, we work on things from there, right? So, long story short, we start with that. And I am on the personal development mantra. I am allowing myself time to make better decisions. And in this situation, basically, that's the best thing that I could do. Now, something happened yesterday. For one reason or another, I got myself so busy, so tied into other things that I didn't finish the album, which is something that I normally wouldn't do. It shows me where I'm at with my career, where once I start recording, I don't stop. But because of the circumstances, I had to be flexible, right? I had an opportunity later throughout the day to continue the album. My mind frame was dealing with so many other variables that I said, you know what, I'm going to wait until tomorrow. Ultimately, 3 singles were released yesterday, which is good. Most artists would be content with that. But I know that I have another 5 songs to deliver. So look forward to doing that for today. But as far as my other decisions, I spoke to one of my advisors and we reached an agreement to wait a little bit more time before making any other major decision. And it puts a lot into perspective. At the same time, I have to be grateful for the proposal that I made to a very special group of people, a group of people that could accelerate things. And if, let's say, things don't pan out, I already have alternate routes and alternate options, right? So I want to discuss that because these people still have 48 hours as of today to make a decision. I should have a response by Wednesday. If I don't, then you already know what that means, right? Wednesday is crucial because we still have like 2 business meetings in between, right? But these are some of the options available to me on the table. So let's say everything crashes and burns, and these people, for whatever reason, they get cold feet, they get scared, they don't want to be involved with the investment. At least at this stage, right? You always have to leave the potential maybe in the future, right? What does that mean for us, right? What does that mean for me, and how do we move forward? Well, at the end of the day, in less than 2 months, we will be on tour. So let's establish that. Less than 2 months, we'll be back on tour. Um, the market of Colombia is already locked in. Australia is already locked in. Canada was added, and it's already basically locked in. Not to the extent as the other 2 primary markets, right? So there's also an extension of the tour that does touch base in the United States. And because it's not a primary market for us, for what we're doing, it's just extra money on the table, right? Now, my new business venture is going to develop a new basis for cash flow where I'm going to use 85% of it to reinvest back into the business. So there's already a few $100,000 right there available for me to do that. Then that also means that if I want to push the power buttons, I can pay consultants and delegate power to them on a case by case basis, right? Meaning on certain projects and things like that. So that power is not taken away from me. It's not limited. It's still available to me. I may not necessarily want to use that, but if I have to, I do have it at my arsenal, right? And at my disposal. So with the tour itself, now you have multiples because it's a force multiplier. The tour is going to generate another budget to be reinvested. What does this mean? This budget is going to go into hiring more professionals that can open up more doors, whether it's through consultations or not. These are people that will be around long term because they're being added to the investment. So they're coming in as business partners. So it's not that the goal would change, maybe the personnel would change, maybe the way that we execute would change. And maybe by working with these new people, it will open the door for the team that we selected to be interested. Because one thing I do in business is I try to bring value to my business partners. My number one priority is to keep my business partners happy. And if you're a business partner to someone out there, that should be your goal and your priority. Because if not, then what's the point of being in a partnership, right? So this puts a lot into perspective because now I have created a new opportunity. While I'm on tour, we're still producing new music. And unlike before, where the strategy could have been to cash out to a major investment firm like venture capital, BlackRock, Blackstone, and bypassing the label system, now I can join forces with production houses and create a new catalog. This catalog would not be included in any other negotiation because it will only be a matter of time before I personally start releasing the other records, including the new songs. Why is this crucial? Because it's a pivotal moment. It creates a whole new catalog. And this ability allows me to release probably another 1,000 records towards the end of the year. 1,000 records that I can put on the palette and 1,000 records that I can work without being on the mainstream. I realized in one of the last business classes that we taught, right? A lot of artists want to be famous. I don't have that problem. So I'm willing to push the buttons and activate the machines to get those records to be top 40 hits and truthfully top 20 hits because I already have the structure to be able to do that. I just didn't want to do that during negotiations because ultimately, for me, the goal is very simple and it's very clear. If venture capital comes in, there's a very small percentage of future profits that will be available to them. If they do come in, it's only for the auction and for nothing else. This is an opportunity where we don't necessarily need these people to get involved. We wanted some of these people to get involved, and everything will pay out a dividend long term. Because we don't need these people, just with the tour and the money that I'm going to invest is enough to sustain the auction. I have no problem flying to Dubai and having the auction there. Because if that's the best market to simplify things so I don't have to go through the regulations here, I'm no longer in a position where that could jeopardize my other investments. So once again, these are all like nuclear missiles, right? That I put aside in my arsenal that I didn't want to use. There's also the strategy that I have for the NFTs that I have with Taylor Swift. If I put them in a trust fund and I delegate my half of the publishing and my half of the rights to half of the release that we have, I can just donate it to charity. And that would be sufficient publicity and marketing because I already have the two or three main charities that I'm going to donate it to. So I can delegate the biggest portion to, for example, let's say St. Jude's, and then delegate a portion to the Shriners, and then delegate another portion to the Baby Seals, which is more of a personal thing, a military background, right? So I'm, Space Force, Air Force, GI Joe forever, right? So all those things are things that I would have still done in the future, but maybe not in this time frame. And because we have two business meetings, I have to proceed with caution. My business partners internationally already know, so they want to see whatever the agreements are going to be in the next 3 days. Now, I'm not going to force the situation because I see the value, just like with private equity or the venture capital firms, it's the same thing. So I don't need to force anything. What makes me uncomfortable is having to wait a month or two. But at the same time, I have all these other businesses and investments to administrate. It doesn't mean I'm not a human being. I don't have to like the situation because it is very uncomfortable. At the same time, I'm not going to pay the highest price. There has to be a more positive and stable outcome. So for me, it is having a moral compass and a spiritual compass and praying. This is why my company cannot do business with just anybody because we are people of the church. We are God's people. All money is not good money. I'm not interested in every investment, nor am I interested in just any investor. If they cannot contribute to the core fundamental values of my company and what I'm trying to do, I'm just not interested. And yes, it may take more time, even though this is the best market for what I'm trying to do. Also, by launching the tour and having the local extension of the tour, more resources will be available because I will connect with people like Pajami. I will connect with people like the owners I curated. I will have more events. And in those events, all I'm doing is direct promotion and marketing for all of the weddings, sweet 16s, quinceañeras, corporate events, private events, filming the videos to basically write out the agreement that we have with Eva. We never explored that because of the circumstances. Now we have an opportunity to renew the contract. I have to look at the contract and look at the date, but if I'm not mistaken, I want to say we're due to renew probably in the next month or two. So, in God's own way, right? Like things still have aligned, and this is still progress, even if it's not to the highest extent or, adding the most complexity to things. But I know this and I understand this and I administrate this every single day. So I guarantee you, I can check into the market and there's going to be some type of highlight of the technology on the palette where I can set it and forget it. I can make the investment and not have to worry about it because this is long term. And part of it as a human being is adjusting to that because it's not just my investment strategy is a certain way as a private investor or as an artist is a unique perspective or as an entrepreneur is completely different with let's say a brick and mortar location like this. It's a culmination of everything because behind all of that is a human being. So, how do you convey that to this group of people without forcing the issue, without forcing the situation, being respectful, considering their emotions, their thoughts, their perspectives, their responsibilities, their own projects, their own investments, while being respectful, while being considerate? Because I also understand behind the armor is a human being. There's a real person that may have the desire and may not be comfortable being honest on why they can't do certain things. So then they revert to this armor and these tactics that for somebody that's, you know, as far as like military training, that's all I know, right? I can see the crevices even in the execution of what they're doing, which basically leads me to believe that they may not be really truly committed or ready for this type of success. And if that's the case, then I already made it clear I don't want them as part of my company. And they will reach success. I do believe in them. I do believe that they're going to shine anywhere that they go, whether it's an internship or they start a business or they start a partnership or a different investment or trust fund, they're going to be successful. But for this project, it is a little bit different. And this is why during the hiring process, I have a different vetting system, not only religiously, but also the psychological test and exam. So this is all like active duty. This is all like, okay, time will show for the record and let the record show. And if somebody is just not ready for that type of commitment, I don't want to put that commitment in their hands. If they're not ready to step it up to the plate, then I don't need to force that. In other words, I could easily, let's say, put a listing up on monster.com and d.com and just look for these type of people in these fields. But I did my best to offer the opportunity to them first. Let them process it, let them think about it, let them consider it. And if it's not for them, no beef, no love lost. But I'm not fucking with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not rocking with you. It is what it is. So it's understanding that, being able to live with that, being able to move forward with that, and be completely content that I've done the absolute best in my heart in every way, shape, form possible. And there's no need in my universe, my existence, there's no need to force anything. So as eager as I am to check emails and process things, right? We have 72 hours, 48 hours left. We'll see if Wednesday morning is a thumbs up because remember, I'm also going to evaluate these two following master classes, these two business meetings, these two negotiations. They're active because I have to go based on the available data points. And the data suggests that if these people are who they say that they are, then it should be a thumbs up, sign and drive type of thing. You know, you come to the dealership, you want to buy a Lamborghini from me, you know what the car is, you know why you work so hard to get it. The car is available, it has everything that you need. You know, if the buttons are silver instead of carbon fiber and I'm saving you $50,000, it should be a no brainer because out of 100 things, you got 99.8. So something as simple as that shouldn't deter you from making a decision. If you're not really serious and you want to waste time, you can go to another dealership and you can go test drive another car and it may have 70% of the things that you wanted. It may have 100% of the things that you wanted, but the color is different. I cannot rebuild the car for you. I cannot alter the financing. Lamborghini financing is like Ferrari financing or Porsche financing. The terms are pretty clear. we want to earn your business, right? We want to build a repertoire. So I can't really make that decision. I know how emotional it was for me when I had to make that decision. So maybe that person needs time. Okay, take your time, think about it, and then we'll see. If there's opportunity in the future, then we will address that opportunity in the future. And if there's not, sadly, we have to move on. And today is an example of making those adjustments. What ultimately will be the best decision, only time will tell. But I've had to make it clear to all of these people, you were cherry picked, you were hand selected to be part of my elite, my Navy SEAL Team 6. If you do not see that potentiality in yourself, then I can't help you. God bless, and we wish you the best. And you know that we're not going to stop. You're going to see us in the future. You're going to hear about us. That I can guarantee you. So, we wish you the best, but we're going to walk away, and perhaps it's permanently. As far as right now, the closer that time frame draws to completion, probably the stricter I'm going to become, because all that's going to happen is my first offer is my best offer. So any offer past that, you know, it's going to be very hard. But something is better than nothing. So anything that could contribute to your future, I think will be good. But it is about the reality of knowing that, you were blessed with an amazing opportunity and you walked away from it. And if you don't see greatness for yourself, I cannot force you to see greatness within yourself, because I can show you every single reason why I selected this group of people. And most of it is not even complex. Remember, all I needed was one reason to say, you know what, we want to bring this group of people on this investment, right, in this project. Now, everything else is, you know, up to each person, and we're all adults, and every decision that you make, you have to live with. Right now I'm debating even what direction to go in. Every choice comes with a package, and time is not always necessarily on our side, especially when dealing with technology. I guarantee you, 2 months from now, technology will be completely different. This is why I have to have the sense of urgency, because if we just think music and entertainment, people are not going to understand that. If I just say cryptocurrency, or it's just this, it's just that, I'm putting it in a box for people to purposely try to misunderstand. So let those that have ears hear me, let those that have eyes see me, let those that have a heart, mind, body, and soul, and the education understand me. And those that do not, they're not going to get it. This is not for everybody. And it's a shame because it is available to everybody and everybody could get involved. But I cannot make those I cannot make those decisions. I see a lot of the strategies. And at the same time, being an entrepreneur, I'm always looking for an opportunity, even if it's something to learn. Every day we learn something new, right? So I see these people in these positions, and I'm like, you criticize artists for not being smart, but I could easily criticize you for being in the middle of business and not being able to get engaged or involved, because I don't see limitations that we may have had as a company within this collective, nor do I need to force anything? So this has been about delegation of power, but also control and administration. I already put everything in God's hands. So now I'm just watching the movie. Every single day there's a development. I don't see this collective of people adapting and adjusting and maybe doing the best that they could to keep up with the system. So who am I to incline these people to say, do you know many Ferraris? This is a Ferrari. This is a thoroughbred, you know, hyper sports car. There's a lot of racing technology and engineering that went into manufacturing this. There's a gentleman that has a 458 Speciale with 250,000 miles. He bought it brand new in 2011. That is honorable. That's something that to me is amazing. Most people don't understand that this can happen. I have another gentleman with a C8 Corvette, 50,000 miles on it, 3, 4 years of ownership. I think it's low miles, but the fact that the car has been a workhorse, that it hasn't given him any problems, says a lot about Chevrolet engineering, which just happened to be my business partners. I am Team Corvette, but we're not speaking from a engineering standpoint. These are just decisions that people ultimately have to make, and I cannot be the catalyst. You know, I'm already the artist, I'm the venture capitalist, I'm the investor. I administrate every aspect of my company. So I can't do more than that. Nor can I force every person in the company, you know what, you got to learn engineering, you got to learn technology, you got to know what an investment is. You have to understand every component that makes up this portfolio, including an investment like this. Most people don't understand this business needs $150,000. That's it. It doesn't mean that it doesn't gross millions because it's similar to the label example that they basically were discussing in one of the meetings. Yeah, the label may generate 5 million, but the artist may only gross 200,000. If that's not a wake up call, I don't think anything else could potentially wake up a person. If that doesn't incline you to go get an education, to understand even the basics of it, or consult people that can break it down to you, I don't know what to say. I don't know how an artist knows that to break a record in top 40 radio costs X amount of dollars, and they rather go spend that on jewelry. I don't understand that. As an entrepreneur, I don't, it doesn't make sense to me. This is the reality, and it continues to happen over and over again. You hear these circumstances, and it's very clear. To sample the water, all you need is a drop. To see the situation, all you need is a small percentage, a small time frame to say, okay, what has been the performance of this portfolio? What have these people done? How have they having, how's their engagement? How have they engaged with the investment, the opportunity, the product, the service, the industry, the trade? You will quickly notice patterns, and you will see that if somebody is not willing to go through the sleepless nights, to the endless trials and errors, being an entrepreneur is you lose 100,000 times and you win 10 or 11. Some people will start an investment, they can't see past the first 8 months. Imagine having to go through 8 to 11 years just to get a return on your investment. Now, is it possible? Of course. Many people have done it. But you have to understand that there's franchises that still close down. Even though you have a formula, you have a manual that tells you This is how you run it. This is what you need. This is how you do it. They give you the whole formula. You cannot put that drive or that desire in a person. So when you bring it down to that level, you have to understand you're dealing with a human being that feels, that thinks, that has gone through things, um, maybe at different intervals in life. And yet you have to meet people where they are. I have business partners that have never considered any of these things because they've never been through these things. So I really can't hold it against them because they don't have the experience. I can teach them, I can lead them by example, but I cannot make decisions for them. I could give you the best advice in the world, and all you have to do is not take it. Just by not taking the advice, you're probably in a worse predicament because now you know that every decision that you make has um has like a certain set of results, right? And you understand now that a person can choose to not do it that way or follow the formula. You know, if the Big Mac is made in a certain way and there's a structure, it tells you this is what you need, this is how you do it, and you alter it 1%, it's no longer a Big Mac. It's as simple as that. When it comes down to everything, you're dealing with a human being. And some people may not feel that, you know, that's so this is why you need to have these shops where people can dialogue these things, where they can see, a person like Eric Thomas that has to do corporate. But don't get me wrong, Eric Thomas still works with Berkshire Hathaway and Johnson in the NFL. You know, I have a similar example that I could share, right? But there's something that, in a sense, is like the all spark, right? It comes from within. And I've learned the hard way to save time and have more of a development just by not including people like that in this portfolio. Just by eliminating people like that from the company, we've already advanced because it's very easy to attend the party when there's ice cream. It's hard when the food is gone and the DJ is tired and you may have to walk home because there's no cabs available. This is the situation that I'm facing because now, from my own personal observation as a doctor that I am, not just as a lawyer or an engineer or artist or entrepreneur, etc., or author, um, are these people really and truly ready for success? The answer may surprise you because now it would make sense that they would go through a whole career doing everything the right way, no payoff, but just doing the right thing, right? And eventually reaching this plateau and not understanding how can I overcome the mountain. First, you have to believe that you can overcome the mountain. But before that, you have to see the mountain to be able to walk over the mountain. When it could be something as simple as crossing the street. I gave an example to one of my advisors yesterday. I said, you know what? If this is what the public wanted to see, this is what I'm going to show them. These are the parts that are not going to make it to the Hollywood movie. They don't make it to the book. They don't make it to the video game. They don't glamorize these parts, but they're all available for you to dissect. Go back to the beginning. Go back step by step. See every change, every shift, every pivot, every move, and ask yourself five whys. Why this? Why that? Why this? Why that? Why this? Why that? And see the pattern. Why is the investment so sharp? Why is the portfolio so well organized? Why does it operate like a well oiled machine? Because we didn't just build an engine, we built the best racing engine to compete on any racetrack. We didn't just build the chassis, we built one of the best chassis. And this is still a mass production as far as, a vehicle, not just an investment. And you know that we can crank out one of these every 15 minutes. So to put that into context, we definitely can crank out a single every 15 minutes. Do you understand what that does? Do you understand that if I just allocate a portion of the funds to build a foundation, right? To just deliver that from here to spring break, this is going to be a completely different conversation, a completely different investment. Is that a nuclear missile from my arsenal that I want to expedite? Not necessarily. But I have no problem doing that. Within the next year, I can deliver over 2,000 or more records by itself without anything, without anybody, without nothing. You're going to read about me. Shout out to Kalila Shapiro, my publicist, man of my word. Shout out to Crystal Delgado, the Delgado Law Group, my lawyers. Shout out to Minek, Valuetainment, Patrick Bet David, my business partners. Shout out to Vayner Media, Vayner Consulting, Gary Vaynerchuk, my business partners. Shout out to Frontier Airlines. Shout out to Chevrolet. Let me see who else do we have. Shout out to Xiaomi. Shout out to Tencent. Shout out to Nvidia, my business partners. Shout out to everybody that's involved in this portfolio. Of course, shout out to McDonald's. Of course, shout out to Starbucks. And this is just the beginning. So, where do we go from here? Because all I want is the opportunity to earn your business, whether it's real estate, whether it's a franchise, whether it's entertainment, whether it's technology. Shout out to OpenSea.io, shout out to Rarible, um, and the list goes on and on and on. Shout out to everybody at BlackRock. Shout out to everybody at Blackstone. Shout out to everybody at Hypnosis. I think we have it. I really do think we have it. Will this collective of people really understand that? Chances are they probably won't. But I definitely will be connecting to all of these people. Shout out to Dan Gonzalez and a Lex Barrow and a Mauricio Ruiz and a Ray Daniels, among many. There's 35 in total. Shout out to Troy Carter. Shout out to Chris Taylor. These are all of the people that I had no idea were the good guys. Shout out to everybody else. I have to break it down to NVIDIA and strategy. Shout out to Michael Saylor, my business partner. I have to make it as small as your mentality is or as big as you want it to be. This is the money train and it is definitely rolling and it's not going to stop for anything or anyone. Shout out to all my loved ones. Shout out to all my fans. Shout out to all my relatives. Shout out to all my children and my grandchildren. You are my inspiration. You are the motivation behind everything that I'm doing. And every day, all I do is work even harder. Very simple. I leave you guys with that because I have a business meeting in a few minutes, and this is all the time that we have for today. I feel in my heart I have conveyed everything that I want to convey to you guys. So, if the shoe fits, wear it. If you understand it, let's do business. Let's not waste each other's time. There's 48 hours left out of 72, not including working outside of banker's hours. So, we're going to go corporate America, Fortune 500, 72 hours. There's 48 hours left. What will you choose? What will you do? It's completely up to you, but you have to live with the decision that you made. Um, we will politely move forward on Wednesday, and this is just a glimmer, a glimpse of how we're going to move forward. And we're bold enough to let you know so that when you see it, you can recognize the patterns and see, oh man, they're going in the same direction, the same trajectory that they plotted, right? That they designed, that they um, engineered and incorporated. It's in motion. And then it's just too late because, like a hurricane that powers up with warm water and it just becomes category 2, category 3, category 4, category 5, and it becomes a tsunami, that's exactly what we're going to do. Also, we want to thank one of those execs for mentioning the 18-month time frame, which would put us at, let's say, January, February, March, April of 27. My goal is to deliver that tour in a quarter of the time. So 4.5 months, it's like saying I declare war. I'm telling you, fourth quarter game is mine. But they're not expecting the consistency in the next 36, 60, 72 months, 100 months. I could sell you a Ferrari F80 and finance it for you for 100 months, 120 months. Do you believe? I leave you with that. Have an amazing day today. May you conquer everything in your path today. May everything that you touch become beautiful, solid gold and silver bars, and beautiful and precious gemstones such as moissanite and laboratory grown diamonds. Always remember to dream big because dreams come true. It happened to me, and I know for a fact it's going to happen to you. See you on the next one. We'll be going live from the office. God bless. And we're going to jump on this album. Um, I'm going to skip my workout for today because the business is calling me. I know the business needs me right now. So let's go deliver customer service, happiness, have every person happy and content. Let's go offer support and a leadership role to this next generation, which are my business partners. God bless you all. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in a few minutes as fast as this. Okay? Tune in.